Hello, my name is Nathan Medeiros, and welcome to my final assessment here on the fundamentals of supply chain. Today, I'll be focusing on how businesses can optimize supply chain logistics with a special look at two important areas: transportation and inventory management. As you know, these two functions are the backbone of modern supply chains. They affect not only efficiency and cost, but also consumer satisfaction. In this presentation, I'll walk through key concepts, share case studies from Walmart and Amazon. I'll even highlight both strengths and challenges. And then I'll finish with some recommendations for building a more resilient and efficient supply chain. Get ready, this is going to be fun. All right, so supply chain logistics is the backbone of modern business. I'll say that one more time. Supply chain logistics is the backbone of modern business. What it does is it connects suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and customers, making sure that products move smoothly and efficiently. Within logistics, two areas stand out as the biggest cost drivers: transportation and inventory management. These functions play a major role in how companies control expenses and even deliver value to its customers. Extremely important. In this presentation, I'll start with core concepts, then move into real world case studies featuring Walmart and Amazon. After that, I'll evaluate the strengths and challenges of today's supply chain strategies, and finally, share some recommendations for how businesses can become more efficient, resilient, and even sustainable. So, diving into the weeds here just a little bit more, logistics plays a massive role in today's economy. For example, in 2013, U.S. businesses spent about $2.6 trillion dollars on logistics. I'm going to say that one more time: $2.6 trillion dollars on logistics. That equals to roughly 8.7% of the nation's GDP. Wow. And this is according to CSCMP State of Logistics report. So what that means is that the largest distributors what that means is that the largest contributors to these costs are transportation and inventory management. I've said it 3 times, I'm going to say it again. Transportation costs can shift with fuel prices, labor shortages, and infrastructure conditions, while inventory costs reflect storage, handling, and the risk of products becoming obsolete. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants last year's iPhone. In any event, globalization has only increased the complexity of these supply chains. Longer trade routes and global networks create opportunities for efficiency, but also expose companies to risks like port congestion, political conflict, or even what we all feared, the COVID-19 pandemic. Uh-oh. This is why improving transportation and inventory strategies has become so incredibly crucial. As you can see here, transportation roughly 63.1% of cost in logistics spending, and inventory carrying, that alone is 28.5% of cost. It is absolutely staggering the cost that can mount here. But yeah, that's just to give you an idea here. We're going to dive into some transportation here in the next slide. All right, so diving into transportation here. Transportation is the single largest driver of logistics costs. I think that's no surprise to anybody, but yeah, making up about 63% of total supply chain spending. That is according to the State of Logistics report. Companies typically move goods using four main modes, obviously: trucking, rail, air, and ocean shipping. All of your Timu stuff comes from the ocean. A lot of your domestic stuff really comes from the rail, even air and trucking. Um, in any event, each mode has their strengths and weaknesses. Trucking is a flexible Trucking is flexible and offers door-to-door service, but it's more expensive per unit. Rail is very cost-effective for large shipments, but at the downside of being slower and less flexible. Air obviously is the fastest option, but as you can see in our graph here, which I'll get into in a minute, it is the most costly. Also burns a lot of fuel too, so I might want to consider that for sustainability. And sea freight is the lowest cost, but it comes with the longest lead times. We've all waited for our Temu packages to go through customs and to travel all the way across the sea. So I'm sure everybody's no stranger there. Because no single mode works in every situation, many businesses are juggling and adopting multimodal strategies. For example, a company may ship large quantities overseas by ocean to cut costs. Then they might transfer goods to trucks for faster regional delivery. Choosing the right balance of cost, speed, flexibility in transportation is essential for supply chain optimization. So there's a lot of there's a lot of trade-offs and there's a lot of things that have to be brought into that. Um, Obviously, looking at the graph here, the average freight revenue per ton mile by mode, and this is the latest available that I could pull with what I could research here, but I think it does show the staggering amount of cost that it does for air, and then the truck there, rail, and then obviously it looks like the cheapest mode here would be by water. You could also kind of, as I was building this graph, you could also look at it this way. You could even take this graph as a time graph. The higher being the slowest time, or the being the shortest time, and then the lower being the longest time, and that actually fits in pretty well. So, looking at this graph, you could infer that time is money. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so let's move on here. All right, so secondly, we have inventory management. It is the second biggest driver of logistics costs. It's all about balancing two things: keeping costs low while making sure products are available when customers need them. There are two main strategies here called just in time, or JIT. It means keeping inventory lean and receiving goods only when they're needed. That is really kind of a juggling act there. It cuts down on storage and carrying costs, but it leaves businesses vulnerable if there's a disruption in the supply chain. If there's a run on the latest iPhone, if there's a run on the latest sneakers, just in time really isn't going to cut it for that kind of for that kind of demand. On the other hand, safety stock acts like a buffer. It ensures products are on hand during demand spikes or delays, but it also raises storage costs. So you fill up your warehouse with storage. Not only does that raise costs, but it could degrade the quality of, or excuse me, not the quality, but the how do I want to put this? It could expire, right? So it may not be the hottest thing, or it may not be the latest and greatest thing, but that also goes into cost too, right? So if you have older stock, you may have to sell it as a loss. So it really is a balance. The key to approaches, and I'm going to say this twice, all right? The key to both approaches, is forecasting. You cannot forecast, you cannot manage both of these. Okay, I don't care which one you're doing, just in time, safety stock, doesn't matter. Forecasting demand accurately can reduce the risk of stockouts or excess inventory. Walmart, awesome, absolutely brilliant example. Walmart uses a vendor aligned inventory system where suppliers monitor real time sales data and restock directly. That's incredible, right? So everybody's going to the point of sale checkouts. Maybe there's a run on some type of viral chip. I don't know. Doesn't matter. They can see it and they can stock directly. And honestly, I was going through this slide. I can't tell you when the last time I saw Walmart running out of something that I wanted. I want you to think about that for a second. Has Walmart ever run out of anything that you wanted? That's by design. They want to make sure that when you're going to Walmart something, it's going to be there. So that's pretty incredible for them. That leads us right into our next slide. That's going to be in just a moment here. All right, technology, everyone's favorite topic here. Technology is transforming supply chain logistics by making operations faster, smarter, and more reliable. One key tool I found in my research is Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP systems. Exciting, right? Which connect purchasing, inventory, and transportation all into one platform so companies can see and manage the supply chain in real time. Obviously, we just talked about Walmart doing something like that. Yeah, another one is predictive analytics. using big data, companies can forecast demand accurately, which helps avoid stockout and excess inventory. What that means is that they can look at, for example, they can a department store can look at what the demand historically might have been for a certain item in a certain time of year, sunscreen maybe during the summer, coats in the wintertime, very crude examples, but they can make inventory prediction or demand predictions based on historical data and even real-time data too. What's hot, what's trending, what's not. So that's really cool. Another thing that's becoming standard, especially in Amazon, which we will get to, is automation and robots. Yeah, the age is here. The age of the machines. Automation and robots are becoming standard in warehouses. Automated guided vehicles, robot picking systems, picking stuff right off the shelves, can reduce errors and speed up order fulfillment. You can go back and forth on that. The uh, the ethics of that, replacing humans and things like that. But there is one thing that you cannot go back and forth on that, is that it statistically does help reduce errors and speed up fulfillment. I mean, there's it's been shown. So that's something to keep in mind going forward. And then finally, AI and machine learning are giving companies even deeper insights. So kind of going back to the point earlier, analyze customer patterns and behavior, even weather and fuel prices, to help make decisions across the supply chain. So in real time, if you had to reroute certain products because of fuel prices in a certain area, um, a lot of things that traditionally would be difficult for just one set of people to view and manage and monitor all at once are now becoming easier with AI and machine learning. So that is exciting. I'm excited about it. Together, these technologies that we discussed here are going to improve costs, they're going to improve accuracy, and increase resilience against disruptions. I'm excited. I don't like when things are out of stock. So the future is going to be exciting here with technology, and it's only getting better. So we're going to take a look at a case study at Walmart next. I'm really excited. So I hope you're having fun so far, or a little just about halfway there. So let's get into our case study. All right, we're going to look at Walmart and something called cross docking. Ooh, exciting, right? Walmart is one of the best examples of logistics efficiency. I've said this before in the beginning, and we're going to talk about it in depth. They use cross docking. Okay, so in a cross docking system, products move directly from suppliers to distribution centers, then straight out to stores with little or no time in storage. Instead of paying products to sit in warehouses, Walmart keeps goods flowing through its network. Have you ever been into a Walmart? I'm going to ask you this. Have you ever been into a Walmart and said, wow, this store's small? No. It's small because they like to keep a lot of stock on hand. You walk into Walmart, you want some body wash, there's going to be a million body washes there. Trust me, believe me. Why? Because they use cross stocking. Cross stocking helps with cross stocking helps with not having to pay storage fees in a warehouse. There's little or no time in storage, and that benefits you because it reduces inventory carrying costs. It shortens lead times and ensures shelves are stocked. It also gives Walmart a price advantage. Storage costs money. Less money is tied up in warehousing. Just a crude example, a supplier might deliver to a Walmart distribution center in the morning, and by the evening, those same products are already on the trucks headed for the stores. Incredible. So I'm sure it's a pretty big dance and a ballerina going on in those warehouses here. Cross-docking is a big part of why Walmart can keep prices so low while meeting their customer demand. Truly incredible case study here. We could go on and really kind of have its own PowerPoint presentation. But really, I cannot stress enough the way they handle their inventory is the key to Walmart's everyday low prices strategy. Next, we're going to go into Amazon and dive into their predictive analytics and even robots. Oh, we'll see you next slide. All right, we have arrived at Amazon, everybody's favorite online retailer. Well, maybe not everybody, but most people. And there's some reasons why. Amazon is a great example of how technology can transform supply chain logistics. Listen to this. One of Amazon's strengths is the use of predictive analytics. Ding, ding, ding. We talked about that earlier. They analyze customer data. Amazon can forecast demand even before orders are placed. This means products are often already positioned in warehouses close to customers, cutting down delivery time. So, listen, what does that mean? Well, that means if there's a run on a product, if Taylor Swift just got this handbag and it's a cost-effective, affordable handbag, before people go online to go order that handbag, the robots are picking stuff. Maybe not picking, but the robots are out there, and they are using predictive analysis to shift things within that warehouse to be ready for when it goes on sale. Incredible to think about how far we've come with that. Absolutely incredible. Amazon, and then we'll go into our next point with the robots here. Amazon also relies heavily on robotics and automation in its fulfillment centers. Robotic systems handle tasks like moving shelves, like we talked about, sorting packages, and even picking items. Obviously, reduces labor costs, speeds up processing, and minimizes human error, like we talked about in the earlier slides. You know, again, the the trade-off between what might be ethical and what might not be ethical is not a topic for this presentation. But what is a topic is that what this is doing is reducing cost and reducing error. So altogether, predictive analytics and robotics allow Amazon to offer fast and reliable shipping. We can all agree that's what they do have. It has become a core part of competitive advantage. Customers can now expect 2 day or even same day delivery using Amazon's amazing logistics system. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I have never seen anything like it in my life, to the point where I've seen a company that I use on a daily basis come into my life so quickly within the last 5, 6, 7 years. Truly, it's remarkable how much they've taken over, and you can contribute that to the fact that they use the automation and predictive analytics in such a powerful way. So that is great on their part. Good for them. Let's move into some strengths here. All right, so strengths in the modern supply chain, have things that set them apart. First is cost efficiency. Obviously, everyone's trying to reduce costs. Reduce costs means better bottom line. Better bottom line means higher stock price, more dividends. I think you understand that concept. But yeah, reduce costs. Strategies like Walmart using cross stocking to minimize warehousing costs and keep goods flowing smoothly through the network. The second is speed and responsiveness. People are impatient, especially younger people. Especially me. I'm impatient. I want things and I want them now. But Amazon has been working very hard on that over the last decade. Their predictive analytics and robotics allow them to do that and meet customer demand faster than just about any competitor. Another major strength is global reach. Obviously, we live in a global economy. Things are all over the globe, shifting back and forth. So the global reach. Today's supply chains can source materials from the world and deliver products to nearly any market, which gives companies a lot of flexibility. Um, Finally, what the strengths of the modern supply chain does is drive customer satisfaction. Reliable product availability is fast delivery times, create a better experience. That's it. It's simple. Delivery times, experience. Get it in your head. Delivery times, experience. Delivery time, experience. Got it? Good. These strengths really kind of highlight how modern logistics have evolved into true competitive advantage for businesses. It really is incredible as I was researching this and throughout this course. Shelves stay stocked, promises kept, promises delivered. Um, Multimodal transport improves adaptability especially in resilience. When one source goes down, another source can be relied upon. Um, Going back to that predictive analytics and robotics, faster deliveries. So there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of redundancies that that are built in. So next slide, we're going to talk about the challenges of modern supply chains. Uh-oh, here we go. Folks, we don't live in a perfect world. There are key challenges in modern supply chains. Even with all their strengths and beautiful innovation, they're still vulnerable like everything else. One major vulnerability to disruption is events, or a few major uh, vulnerabilities is events like natural disasters, global pandemics, or even political conflicts can shut down shipping lanes and delay deliveries. Another challenge, and really this is kind of a big one, is high upfront cost of technology and automation. AI is not cheap. Robots aren't cheap. In fact, one can make an argument it's just cheaper to hire somebody. That's kind of something that if you want to work out on your own, you can do. Um, but not every company can afford the initial investment, and is needed to implement them. It's kind of a shame that the smaller companies really don't stand a chance against companies like Amazon. I know they're offering partners and making it easier for drop shipping and things like that, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about weaknesses. And over time, reliance on single strategies like just-in-time inventory saves money, but leaves company exposed when demand suddenly spikes or supplies run short. Going back to the blending of inventory management that I said earlier, there is a lot of pressure, and it is growing. Excuse me, for sustainability. Customers, governments, and even investors are looking to reduce carbon emissions and create greener logistics systems. That's cool. I'm on board. Um, those things are really costly to implement. One has to weigh the benefits of the environment versus the kind of the bottom line there, and that might be a very tough uh, thing to kind of weigh against. Um, there's also labor and skill gaps, shortage of trained logistics and tech workers. We often talk about bringing manufacturing back to America, and I know that's what the current administration is doing. It sounds great. I'm sure we could all, we all can get behind that. But the problem is that we really don't have the infrastructure here for trained, tech workers. That's why a lot of the stuff is overseas. So anytime there's a major event, that happens like the pandemic, that's something that can disrupt supply chains. We all saw that, especially with what was going over in China and things shutting down. So that's something to to really think about. But I want to tell you that it's something that is evolving. Yes, there are strengths and there are weaknesses, but I can tell you that there are people working to make things as smooth as possible and to make things as more efficient as possible. Because at the end of the day, if they do, more money they'll make, and that's what this is all about here. So I'll go into some recommendations in the next slide. All right, we are on slide number 11. We're almost there, folks. I really appreciate you sticking with me thus far. To strengthen supply chain logistics, I have four key recommendations. Okay, first, we talked about this earlier. I would like to see hybrid inventory models to combine just in time with safety stock. This way, they can stay lean and efficient, but still have some buffer during those disruptions. Will it be enough buffer, let's say, in the event of a pandemic? Who knows? But at least in short term disruptions, like higher gas prices or customer demand based on virality, then yeah, absolutely. I think that we should do that. And that we should look into that and implement that. That's one of my main things here. Second, we definitely have to invest in technology. Guys, in the technology sector, if you're just starting out, you're already 2 years behind. So you need to invest in early, and you have to have scalable ERP systems, like we said, predictive analytics and automation to improve forecasting, reducing errors, and speeding up operations. Believe me, if you're not doing it, your competitors are doing it. You can believe that for sure. And anything that your competitors are going to do to try and get a one up on you, they're going to do. So invest early in technology. Strengths here. I'd like to see strengthened transportation networks. Using multimodal strategies. What that means combining air, sea, and trucking. This is going to add flexibility and resistance. Remember when the Suez, I think it was the Suez Canal. I think that's what it was. Remember when that ship was stuck over there? Didn't really affect us too much here in the United States, but, well, a lot of goods coming from China over to Europe were stuck. Suez Canal. Ships were like, okay, we'll just go around. Things like that to have backup redundant systems, I think, is great. Um, it was the Evergreen ship. That's what it was. That got stuck in the. I think it's the Soyuz. Don't quote me on that. But you know what I'm talking about. There was a ship that was stuck in the canal and really disrupted supply chain. So strengthening transportation networks, huge. Please, we need to have resilience and we need to add more flexibility for when things like that happen. Finally, yeah, sure. Let's prioritize sustainability. Green logistics practices offer more efficient fleets, lower emission transport. Look, whether your stance on that is back and forth doesn't matter. Lower emissions, lower fuels, more efficient means more money. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to be more lean. So yeah, absolutely. Let's invest and prioritize in sustainability. Definitely help reduce costs in the long run, but also improve brand reputation. People like to see green, and people like to see that their products are sustainable. I do. Yeah, so absolutely, let's do that. Um, so what does this mean? So my recommendations aren't earth-shattering, but my recommendations are worth pointing out based on everything we viewed so far. I think that taken together, these recommendations can make supply chains more efficient, resilient, and even future ready. All right, so that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I appreciate you taking the 27 minutes out of your life to listen to me ramble about supply chains. I had a lot of fun making this. I just want to say that going back to what this slide's going here, supply chain logistics is the modern backbone of is the backbone of modern commerce. Transportation and inventory management make up the largest share of cost, as we said before, which is why companies are putting so much focus on improving them. To the point where I think I might change my minor to logistics. I don't know. We're not there yet, but we'll think about that. Uh, Walmart and Amazon show us two different highly but effective approaches, right? Cross stocking to cut costs. Amazon with their AI and technology, boosting speed and efficiency. Yeah, I mean, you can't doubt them there. At the same time, we have to manage the challenges like disruptions, high technology costs, and sustainability pressures. All of this reminds us that no system is perfect. Looking ahead, I employ all of you, or whoever is listening, or whoever is grading this, to remember that efficiency, resilience, sustainability is what we need to focus on moving forward. These three elements will define the future of supply chain logistics and determine which businesses remain competitive in a rapidly challenging world. Appreciate you listening to this. Let's kind of move on here. What do we got on this one? Oh, look, there's my references. Check them out. Check them for yourself. They're pretty interesting. I really appreciate it. We're about 28 minutes and 50 seconds. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for listening.